President Biden will not face charges for possession of classified documents. Still, the special counsel report includes an ongoing political headache for Biden, his age, and faltering memory. The report reveals Biden had trouble remembering key events. In response, he and his administration are fighting back. CBN's Brody Carter reports.
In a hastily called press conference Thursday night, Biden strongly disputed those descriptions.
I'm well-meaning, and I'm an elderly man, and I know what the hell I'm doing. I've been president, and I put this country back on its feet.
The president also refuted any allegations of willfully retaining classified documents collected dating to his vice presidency. A federal crime, but one that would require a mental state of willingness. Biden pushed back against that as well.
Here's what he wrote. There is, in fact, a shortage of evidence that I willfully retained classified materials related to Afghanistan. On page 12, the special counsel also wrote, for in other documents, the decision to decline criminal charges was straightforward.
While choosing not to bring charges against the president, special counsel Robert Hur, who was appointed by former President Trump to serve as a U.S. District Attorney in Maryland in 2017, cited a shortage of evidence, but also considered that it could be difficult to get a jury to convict him because he would present himself as a, quote, sympathetic, well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory. The report said that in Biden's interview with the special counsel, he could not remember key milestones like when he started and ended his time as vice president or when his son, Beau, died. Another charge Biden strongly denied, but then he forgot a key point about a rosary Beau gave him.
Let me tell you something. Some of you have commented, I wear since the day he died, every single day, the rosary he got from Our Lady of...
Former President Trump blasted the decision not to prosecute Biden while he faces criminal charges himself on handling classified documents, saying Biden's case was 100 times more severe than his and that there's a two-tiered system of justice. Conservatives said the report showed what polls have also shown the public is also concerned about, that the president isn't mentally up to the job. And Republican lawmakers also spoke out, with House Speaker Mike Johnson and Steve Scalise, Elise Stefanik, and Tom Emmer issuing a joint statement, saying if the president is too incapable of being held accountable, he is certainly unfit for the Oval Office. Brody Carter, CBN News.
Thank you, Brody. Well, the fallout over President Biden's memory is raising questions about mental acuity in the nation's highest office. CBN News Washington correspondent Hillary Powell is following the facts we know so far. Hillary?
Well, reaction from both the White House and President Biden is firm. They are rejecting that he is too old to hold the highest office. But with all of this political chatter back and forth about what the report means, medical doctors are using this as a chance to really get frank about what happens as we all age.
Person in this country be president of the United States and finish the job I started.
President Biden is attempting to reassure Americans he's mentally fit, fighting back against the special counsel's report over his handling of classified documents. White House officials are also doubling down on their confidence in his capability to lead.
The gratuitous comments that respected experts are saying is out of line are inappropriate, and they shouldn't distract from the fact that the case is closed.
One of the world's leading brain experts, neurologist Dr. David Perlmutter, tells CBN News he's not surprised the report describes the president's recollection as, quote, painfully slow and his memory as hazy.
It's expected that President Biden or anyone of his age may well continue to decline in their cognitive function. It's pretty much a universal observation for anyone.
President Biden is 81. Robert Hur's report states Biden would likely present himself to a jury as he did during our interview of him, as a sympathetic, well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory. President Biden's latest physical was released nearly a year ago on February 16th and shows he received specialty consultation with a neurologist as part of the examination, where Dr. Perlmutter says the best insight on competency comes from.
Wondering about the documents that he had at his house, make specific comments about his cognitive function, I think is inappropriate. I mean, these are the types of judgments and descriptions that should be made by a medical professional.
Now, Dr. Perlman says regular cognitive function tests should really be normalized for people who are over 70 as a preventative measure so things can take place like changing your lifestyle, getting blood pressure down and blood sugar down and keep them under control. And we'll also be keeping an eye out for when the president's next physical examination is scheduled. Jenna.
All right, Hillary, thank you. CBN News Chief Political Analyst David Brody is with us now to discuss. David, politically, this is a huge blow to President Biden. The White House calling it today gratuitous, suggesting the special counsel didn't need to release all of these details. But was it, David? An NBC poll shows 77% of voters have concerns about Biden's age.
Yeah, it's a big disconnect. You know, you've got the Biden administration saying there's no problem here. As a matter of fact, you had Joe Biden saying he's mentally fine last night in that press conference. And then you have that poll that shows that voters don't believe it. So there's a major disconnect. And it's kind of like, so Biden is saying I'm fine, and the rest of America is saying don't gaslight us. We see what we see. And so the minute you start to disconnect from the electorate like this, when you live in a false universe or false reality, you're toast. You're done. And I think that's kind of where this is moving towards regarding Biden. I think at this point, it may just be a question of not just if he loses the election, but if he even gets to be finally the nominee here at the end of the day.
Yeah, well, I want to ask you about that, David. What does this mean for 2024? Do you think he stays on the ticket, or could we see, Gavin Newsom or Michelle Obama or some of these other names that have been floated around?
Jenna, I got to tell you, I have been very reluctant to think that he is not going to be the nominee. In other words, I thought he'd be the nominee for a while. Now, I'm not so sure. As a matter of fact, I would say that the percentages are that he will not be the nominee, because this story is just going to get worse. Last night, the whole day, was the worst day of Joe Biden's presidency. There's no doubt about it. And it's just going to get worse from here. Remember, Jenna, it started as a whisper campaign about his mental health, and it went to David Axelrod and some prominent Democrats. And now you've got the DOJ, the Biden DOJ, even though it was a special counsel, but still saying all of what they said about his mental health. This is just really bad. Yeah. So I think we're going to a potential brokered convention. I think what you may see is the 25th Amendment kind of being trotted out there behind closed doors to Biden and say, look, do you want we're going to either invoke the 25th Amendment or you've got to drop out, potentially even resign. There's a difference between, of course, resigning as president and dropping out as the nominee. I see it more as a dropping out as the nominee, and that gets into a whole different ball of wax.
Yeah, we'll see. So we're talking about Biden's age and mental acuity, of course, but ultimately, David, the special counsel did decide not to charge him. That's not the case for former President Trump, who faces charges in his own classified documents case down in Florida. David, a lot of conservatives are wondering, how is Biden's case different from Trump's?
Well, and they've got a lot to be concerned about. Jenna, Trump talks a lot about the two-tiered weaponization, two-tier justice system. Well, look at this situation. Donald Trump had classified documents, willfully took classified documents, and the DOJ wants him to go to jail. The Biden, on the other hand, willfully had classified documents, and the recommendation from the DOJ is that he, in essence, go to memory care. I mean, look, think about the difference, Jenna. I mean, it's startling if you think about it. The cases from a willfully having classified document situation are very much the same. This idea that, Trump was negotiating and holding on to the documents. Well, either way, the point is he was willfully doing it. And according to the DOJ report against Biden, he was also willfully doing it. So, look, this is apples to apples. And look how the DOJ treats Trump versus Biden. That's called game, set, match, Trump.
All right, David, we have to leave it there, but it's always good to see you. Thank you so much, David. Have a great weekend.